Welcome to Mandatory Redistribution Party. This episode, me and Sean discuss the misery of housing for anyone who's under 35 or isn't a millionaire, and the coming threat of a union for self-styled intellectuals. This is also a pranks special. Are pranks revolutionary praxis? Maybe. Sean wrestles with his status as something of a prankster, reflecting on his prank-induced run-ins with everyone from a Tesco security guard, a comedian willing to work for ISIS, and Toby Young.
Toby Young wrote in The Spectator that he wanted to start up an intellectual trade union, which I couldn't read to begin with because it's behind a paywall, the Spectator paywall. But I learned that on Chrome, if you just stop it loading the page directly as you see the text, you can read whatever you like and no one stops you.
Hold on. So let's unpack this. One, intellectual isn't a profession, right? And so you can work in like a mine and be an intellectual.
I don't think according to Toby Young, but yeah, I think he doesn't want to say academic because he
hates academics.
Hates academia, and so he wants to open it up to the people who, in my mind, like I don't know what the phrase they use are, but they call themselves like independent academics. Like they're not affiliated with any institution, but they do turn up to any like public talks to like destroy the Q&As.
Okay, climate change deniers or
just people who go, well, I've written this research that has no relationship with like the larger body of work on this topic, and I'd like to talk about that at length, but pose it as a question to a young PhD student who doesn't know how to answer it and doesn't know how to get you to move on. That's what I have in mind when I think of intellectuals who like want to work in the intellectual sphere but can't be explained away by the word academic.
Devil's advocates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just devils.
Satan's.
Beelzebub's friends.
Beelzy boys.
So he was saying he wanted to make an intellectual trade union and really wasn't hiding that he was mainly looking for race realists, trans-exclusionary radical feminists, and just general sort of anti-woke academic edgelords. And then just gave out this email address which links to the John Stuart Mill Society.
What?
I think he uses it as a personal email address, but it's just the JS Mill Society, which...
Is it like Toby or Toadmeister at johnstuartmill.com?
No, it's John Stuart Mill Society at gmail.com. Like it hasn't even got its own URL. But when he emails you back, it's just Toby Young and it shows his face on it. So it's clearly not an organisation if he stuck his own personal profile picture.
I love it. I reckon Mill would be on board with this. JS Mill would be a turf.
That's a whole other segment to unpack, I reckon.
No, I'm derailing you, bud. Continue.
So I thought, well, why not just drop a line to this email address and see what the red lines would be to join in? So I used my own name, my own personal email address. I thought I won't even hide it so much that I can't even just be looked up.
You're pretty much on the first page of Google, because I get my first page of Google some wrestler, and I'm on there, but if you Sean Morley...
Well, actually, my namesake is a more famous wrestler than your wrestler.
Oh, what?
Your wrestler's absolutely fucking no one. My wrestler is Val Venus.
Oh,
Sean Morley is the real name of Val Venus, who actually spans 3 corridors of the online community, because as well as being an actual wrestler that's still wrestling now,
okay,
and an ex-porn star,
wow,
which pushes him up the SEO again, he has gone mad into cryptocurrency. He's become one of the big cryptocurrency figures in American wrestling.
So if Toby gave you a cursory Google, he's going to come up with this
libertarian wrestler,
porn
and he'll be like, "Yep, this is exactly who we want on board." Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, the Bitcoin throwdown. So I said, in fact, I can read out the email.
Go for it.
So the email I sent to the John Stuart Mill Society was, "Hello, I've just finished reading your piece in The Spectator regarding the creation of a trade union for intellectuals. I'm emailing away from my academic email address for reasons that I hope are obvious. I've been the subject of a lot of flaming in the blogosphere recently.
Flaming in the blogosphere?
For my views on the relationship between chemtrails and gender reassignment surgery." And I wonder if I'd be able to take some refuge in your new trade union, as many others have done before me. I wish only to promote good faith discussion without succumbing to the stentorian outcry of the Twitter Stasi, which is a term that I've hyphenated to make like a single new word.
Oh, nice.
Yours, Sean Morley. I just thought I'll just use my real name, because why not?
Yeah, it makes it better if it tricks him.
Yeah, and that was 5 days ago.
Okay.
And then last night at 11:30 at night, I don't know who.
Friday night at 11:30.
Friday night, 11:30 at night.
Fucking
I got a reply. And it's Toby Young. Like, it's actually his profile picture. Because you know how you have an email address, but that email address can be associated with a username.
Mm-hmm.
I got a reply from Toby Young.
Whoa. So the John Stuart Mill Society's picture is Toby Young. So he's not even pretending to be the John Stuart Mill Society. It says the John Stuart Mill Society.
It's a screen grab of his own head that it looks like he's taken off Sky News.
Fucking hell.
Hi, Sean. Thanks for getting in touch. It sounds like you're in need of the protection that a trade union, along the lines I have in mind, could provide. I'm hoping some gender-critical feminists will join for the same discussion, wanting to have a good faith, scientifically informed discussion of transgender issues without risking being mobbed for questioning trans orthodoxy. He said he's writing a longer piece for an organisation I want to set up for Quillette. Quillette's like a bad egg Australian magazine with intellectual pretensions. And he's asked if I'll be able to give feedback after it's been published, and also saying that he's still umming and ahhing on whether he's going to publish the membership list. And it signs off all the best, Toby.
Fucking hell. You got him.
Well, it could be it's just an auto reply to everyone who expressed some kind of interest, but it does show that he is almost certainly willing to accept dues for this union.
Yeah.
Off of a chemtrails gender reassignment surgery guy.
Because it wasn't just those two things. You have suggested those two things are directly linked as well.
Yeah.
Chemtrails causes gender reassignment surgery.
I haven't exactly said that, but what else could that refer to? I'm working on... I mean, there's only two correlative links that I might be saying. That chemtrails causes gender reassignment surgery, or chemtrails is the one way to prevent gender reassignment surgery. If you want everyone to remain cisgender, we need more chemtrails.
We need fucking jets to
That's what
spray.
chemtrails are for, to keep you within the boundaries of your assigned gender.
I want to unpack this trade union a bit. So his suggestion is that if these intellectuals, for example, someone who believes that chemtrails and gender reassignment surgery are inextricably linked somehow, that if that person withdrew their labour, that would be a source of power for them. So the intellectuals can go on strike. Like, what happens? Toby Young doesn't write an article. Great. Like, who's going, oh shit? It's not like, oh no, the bins haven't been collected, we've got no coal. Like,
well,
what?
I think when you say unpack it, let's take another step back to Toby Young's basic misunderstanding of what a trade union is.
Yeah.
He's taken the people who have been blacklisted, i.e. the industry they work in, not only can work fine without them, but actively doesn't want them, and then going, you don't fire me, I've quit. On behalf, I am going on strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people who are considered undesirables within their own organisation are all going on strike at once, thereby fulfilling the desires of the places that are blacklisting them.
Don't you dare sack me. I'll do it.
Yeah.
What?
Listen, you woke leftist people, I'm going to destroy you by using group organisation.
No platforming is wrong. Everyone's a snowflake. So we are going to no platform ourselves.
Take that. We are through the matrix. We've all Tyler Durdened ourselves. It's incredible. I can't wait to see how it pans out. And also, I believe that this character, the Sean Morley academic, I mean, I have to reply to him. I'll provide feedback.
Yeah, no, we need to go deeper.
Yeah, we're staying in.
I want to know if he gives you like bank details to send money to.
That might be the point where I jump out. I don't know how much he thinks would be a reasonable amount of dues, because dues are normally meant to be in line with what your salary is, and the salary for a tenured academic it might be more than I'm willing to pay for a prank.
Then you can just talk about how you've been purged from the academy because of the snowflakes.
I'm working on.
Because apparently all universities are controlled by Marxists, cultural Marxists.
Yeah,
which would be
I'm just working
incredible.
in a frozen ice cream place now. I'm working on my
Can you pay in cryptocurrency?
Can I pay
Morley
in ideas?
bucks.
Can I pay in my ideas? Can I pay in research? Can I pay in being your social media manager? I've always been ill at ease with the idea that I might be a prankster. Although I admire their antics, the hallowed halls of the pranksters never felt like a suitable resting place for my mighty and indestructible bones. And yet it's hard to find another term to describe the many occasions where I've flippantly and impulsively lied and then committed to that lie for an unhealthy and destructive amount of time. Such as when in 2015 I spent a month convincing all my friends and family I had a show commissioned on Channel 4, culminating in the launch of a live-streamed launch party in which it was revealed that our production company had wiped all the show data due to a misinterpretation of New Labour's 1998 Data Protection Act. There was once a time when I used to post a lot of fake gig listings to online professional comedy Facebook forums to see if there were comedians that would apply to any gig provided there was a price tag attached. I tried listing gigs that were demonstrably unsafe, could explicitly catch fire, gigs in barns alongside livestocks which would be hell to perform in, and comedians invariably were up for it. And I found it quite an intellectual challenge to work out if there was a gig that comedians would refuse to perform at no matter what. And this culminated in 2 listings that I felt couldn't be tops. So let's start with the first. Hello. I am currently in the process of booking paid acts for the Young Conservative Future UK Gala. We need performers who describe themselves as being from a rough area, who are thus able to lampoon, in brackets, mock, the perceived behaviours of the working class, e.g. irresponsible fecundity, poor vocabulary, and wearing sportswear as casual wear. The event will be held at 3 p.m, Sunday the 16th of November, at Hemel Hempstead Luftwaffe Memorial Pavilion. No chances. Thank you. So how did this pan out? Did people apply? Yeah, of course they did, in droves. I asked each applicant who messaged me if they were happy to meet the brief. Some had a bit of a crisis of confidence, some backed out, but many said, yeah, of course, yeah, if the money's there. We had one guy who sent me a sitcom they'd made and asked me to check it out because the lead female was, in his words, as rough as you can get because she was from Basildon. He then linked me to some clippings from local newspapers from Basildon about how the locals were upset by how cruel the sitcom was. So I guess in many ways he was an applicable candidate for what was being asked for, but I didn't really understand what he wanted me to do on a practical level. This was a live comedy showcase and he's sending me a sitcom. So the conversation there really started to fizzle out. But my favourite guy was someone who was just asking a lot of questions, just wanting to know who I was, what my connection to Conservative UK youth was. And then in the middle of it all went, actually, no, I think this is a joke, goodbye. And I looked this guy up. He turned out to be a journalist for The Guardian who really thought he was onto a scoop. So, yeah, of course, I'm asking people from perhaps working class backgrounds if they'll perhaps put their principles to one side for a bit of cash. That's not really a very fair or reasonable trap to set. So I really set myself out to work out, could there be anything which people just on principle would never perform there, no matter what? And that's when I came up with the following listing. Hello, comedy colleagues. I've recently taken up the mantle of an esteemed Middle Eastern comedy club. Then there's the title of the club, which is in Arabic, which if you just translate it back into English using Google Translate, it just says, Great Friends, Big Laugh. I'm looking to book pro closers as part of the spring-summer tour. £900 backs to cover your time, accommodation, and the rest on compensating differential. The show is in Al Qaim, a popular border town and great nightlife spot on the border between Iraq and Levant. Please DM me on Facebook for more details. Thank you. So would anyone apply for this? The answer is yes. Actually, quite a lot of people applied for it. Many were just a bit slow on the uptake. They thought it was just an overseas gig. Some quickly and quite angrily dropped off once the penny dropped. But in amongst it were people who knew what this gig was, who exactly I was talking about, and were nevertheless up for it if the money was there. One circuit veteran even going as far as to say that the Mujahideen were our allies against the Soviets, so they see no reason not to respect those historical alliances as a international touring comedian. But let me share with you in full my favourite correspondence. Now, even though both characters are played by me, I will disguise his voice to better protect his identity, or for the more pressing reason of distinguishing between two speakers in a piece of recorded dialogue.
I run management. I seen your call for established acts overseas. Can you give me more information? Can you tell me more about what you're after?
Absolutely. Just some pro closers to ship out to Al-Qaim for a spring-summer package. What sort of acts do you manage?
My main pro acts that regular close all the normal places are who was Anton Deck Golden Buzzer Pick at Britain's Got Talent this year, and if you go to my website, click on Act Management and you'll see all the acts I look after, plus bios and videos. I can get hold of other acts if you're looking for a booking agent.
This sounds great. I can't sign off on anything now as I have to run booking decisions past my co-financier, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. But someone like would be great for this sort of show, I think.
That great. Can I ask, you say the fees are £900. Do you cover travel and accommodation? What big names have they already had?
That can be arranged, no problem. In the past it's been people like Ruhollah Khomeini, Ayman Zawahiri and people like that. Not so many Western names.
Okay, so why are they after Western names now? Is there much of an English-speaking audience over there?
Well, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is trying to greater understand the Western threat by understanding its comedy. It believes these joke nights, as he calls them, is endemic of Western liberal nihilism. So I guess it's sort of an integration thing, a clashing of cultures, probably some kind of cultural initiative I expect mixed up in some new council money. I'm more of a contractor, so I don't really understand the rationale behind it.
Okay, well, sounds fine to me, and I would be more than happy in providing comics for you in that case. What is your background in comedy?
Yes, that's no problem. I used to act as the financial manager of Western Supermare Arts Centre from 1979 to 1985. Unfortunately, when it fell into the sea in 1985, loam erosion, council refused to do anything about it, I began to look a little further afield. Now I work in Iraq and Levant with a recruitment firm called IS, which has an entertainment section but is primarily interested in mergers and acquisitions. So back in Western I dealt with all the comedy and all the big acts from London, so I know the setup well.
Okay, cool. Well, like I said, I good my own acts can source others for you as well if that helps.
Top drawer. Could I get your electronic mail address?
At .com.
Thank you very much.
You may now see a lot of the dickheads getting involved in the message now. Take no notice of them.
Oh, it's typical. You can't do anything these days to a large crowd without getting a few detractors. It doesn't matter now. The professionals will always look past it.
Yes, totally.
And that's when I started getting all these messages from one of his acts. Again, I'm not here to name names, but this guy was a big name in Britain's Got Talent that year. He was just making his career from primetime ITV, and he's messaging me, he's badgering me on a daily basis for an opportunity to perform for ISIS. It became a bit too surreal for me. People were messaging me with legitimate applications to perform for the Islamic State. It feels a lot like the acquisition of money really does top all of the priorities, at least amongst the mid-level comedy industry. But the challenge is still there. If any of you can think up a gig that would be less desirable to perform at than to perform for ISIS, my DMs are open.
can you ever come up with a listing for a gig that is paid that no comedians will apply for? My belief is no. But the gauntlet has now been thrown down. Best of luck.
My bed touches 3 walls. It's not a single, it's not a double. It's a single it's a single 0.5.
I can't picture how a bed can be in a place that touches 3 walls.
You open the door to my room.
Okay, I'm in the room.
On the left-hand side is a wardrobe.
Uh-huh.
On the right-hand side is just some wall. The corner of the bathroom where the bath is.
Yeah.
If my room was a square, it would poke into it. But my room is an L shape.
Oh, you've got an L.
Kind of an L.
Even an L doesn't explain how.
No. So wardrobe on left. There is a small space to the right where there is a chair that I use as a bedside table that has a lamp and books on it.
Mm-hmm.
Standard.
Yeah.
At the other end of the room, so the other side from the door, is the window.
Mm-hmm.
Below the window, touching that wall, is one long side of my bed. The foot end of my bed also touches a wall, the same wall the wardrobe touches. The head end of my bed also touches a wall, the wall opposite the wardrobe.
So
there is one side of the bed which has the chair beside it, and that is my access point to my bed.
So when you're inside the bed,
yeah,
you're very much in an enclosed space.
That's one of the upsides, actually. It's
Would you
like
say
I'm
that's
in a
beneficial?
nook.
Do you get any natural light in the bed zone, or is it only the stuff that peers
well,
through that narrow shaft?
I mean, there could, yeah. If I open the curtains, there would be natural light. But I'm not chilling out in there. I'm sleeping in there. I'm getting out.
So it's kind of pod-like, womb-like.
It's one level up from like a businessman's Tokyo pod.
I was immediately thinking about those like incredibly small personal domiciles that they have in Japan.
Yeah, no one's sleeping above me in a drawer. It's not like I pull out a drawer and there's a Tokyo businessman in it.
Well, even like coach hotels you've got in Japan, and you've got like the pods and stuff, and I think also like there's airlines that let you live in this tiny cabin. It's not like a luxury cabin. We're again talking about pods, but also there's like these personal living spaces you can have, like these micro apartments, which are smaller than anything I've ever seen as a proposed individual house. Like even when we're talking about in like America and Europe, like millennials living in these converted shipping containers, these things in Japan, which often foreigners have to get. The video I was watching about it, you can find yourself in a position where your visa doesn't last a year,
right?
But a lot of landlords want to let you anything require a year contract. So these micro apartments, you could never spread your arms out fully wide in them. They are maybe about 6 feet long, and you've got one place to wash yourself. You can't see or even access the sink and the toilet at the same time because they both sort of fold out of the same wall, and you sleep on like a mezzanine above the living room, and the living room is just the size of you like sitting cross-legged on the floor, and then you've got one small kitchen counter, which is also, I think, your entry. Do you think, because some people are proposing that shrinking living sizes is the only way to allow millennials to own their own property, just we have to sell properties that are uninhabitable, and then people can get on the property ladder by having one of the lowest value properties going.
Just fuck the property ladder, right? There just needs to be massive regulations, ban buy-to-let landlords. If you want just a basic social democracy reform, I think on Karl-Marx-Strasse in Berlin, the state or city government just bought a whole bunch of apartments off landlords because they were pushing the rent too high. Just even basic social democracy, just rent controls and council or local or whatever the democratically accountable thing is. You know, you don't elect fucking landlords, you do elect the council. So
yeah, sure.
It'd be better for them to control these things because they're democratically accountable. It's a problem because on a really one very basic level, why fewer young people are Tory is because home ownership invests you in capital, because then you've got an investment.
Because you have capital and you don't want it to decrease in value. Yeah.
Exactly. You're interested in, you think, because I've owned this for 5 years and I've painted it cream, that means it's now worth £20,000 more, even though you've done nothing to it. People do like a boomer millennial thing, but everyone's like, the only way I'm going to be able to buy a house is if my parents die. That's only true if your parents fucking own the house in the first place, right?
If your parents have something to give you, there's so much dialogue around, during your lifespan, you'll eventually have this point where you hit an inheritance. Some people's parents are like flat out broke.
Yeah.
My mum's got nothing to give me when she dies. And also, like, my partner's mum's not got a lot to pass on either.
Yeah. Same.
Like,
I'm fucked.
Yeah. This idea that there's one point where I just hit it big and I just got to stay alive until then.
Yeah.
Are you aware of, in America, there is a practice of people buying firearms and firing the guns into the sky at night to keep rent prices down?
That's praxis. That's I didn't know about that, but that's fucking amazing.
Because it's cheaper to invest in the guns and the bullets than it is to pay the increase in rent.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
That is like proper anti-gentrification moves.
Yeah. Well, and bringing it closer to the UK, I can't remember if it's Bristol or Brighton, and even though they're really different places, just because they share a slightly similar name, I keep mixing them up. Both of them are having the same problem where young people are being priced out.
Oh, they're mega gentrified, aren't they?
Brighton more so in my experience. And so one of them has like an internal movement, and it's just sort of I don't know to what point it's like a meme and to what point it's actually like a grassroots movement, but it's called like, let's make this place a dump again. By allowing this place to look clean and nice and desirable, we're being priced out. Why don't we just squat around and fuck it up and like knock shit over so we can still live here? It's worth maybe getting an ASBO if you could still have a house. If things look ugly and undesirable to upper middle class people,
that's
then
key.
I can continue to live in a property near my job.
But then even places that are fairly grim, like Ancoats by Frog and Bucket in Manchester, pretty grim area, but they've like redeveloped it.
Yeah.
And Urban Splash, who are this like huge development company that have these, they present themselves as having elements of like affordability, and they're building like 2-bedroom terraces in this area. That's like, there's fuck all that, like it's near to town, but there's fuck all in it, other than like a tram stop and a canal people get pushed into.
Yeah.
For like £450,000 for a 2-bed terrace.
Wow.
Manchester's going like London 2.0 because of they're building that high-speed rail thing. They're putting up luxury flats.
But these luxury flats aren't that nice. I have seen the interiors of these luxury flats, and I've also seen the interiors of council flats that are in the middle of city centres. I would rather be in the council flats because at least there's fucking stuff around. Often council flats are built with a municipal idea that there are public services around. Or if they aren't, the council has, depends on what city you're in, I think this might vary, but councils have an obligation to put on stuff so that you have services, including like healthcare. Like there needs to be like gym facilities somewhere nearby so people can stay healthy and fit, and they put on all these special access stuff. Whereas if you're in a luxury flats are just J.G. Ballard's high-rise. Like, there's nothing going on. But council flats, like, have this sometimes kind of sterilized city council-style version of forced community. Better that than just this a la mode, everything's a wipe clean service luxury flat where the developers just plonk them wherever there's affordable land. There might be fuck all around.
Oh, I've got pals that live in those like luxury flats. The rent's crazy. You're talking like North Manchester, 2-bedroom flat, $950 for 2 people, which isn't, if someone listens to this in London, they'll be like, that's a pennies.
Well,
but
up here, that's above average. Yeah. So back off.
The flats are quite small. They haven't got proper radiators. They've got those shitty electric heater things, which are really inefficient.
Yeah.
Say there's like 4 towers. They're in a weird, like gated community. There's like loads of security fences, like you're going into Jurassic Park or something. Because they've built them in areas that were quite rough, I guess. So they've gated them off. So that adds this like creepy, horrible element. Better to build that stuff up than across. You know, we can't build Attlee, era when Nye Bevan was the housing minister.
We just like built out, we built estates. Yeah.
But they're like amazing. Like the Attlee era council houses, if you try and buy one of them in Manchester now, that's going to be 200, 300 grand.
We need to bring back the Quaker industrialists who are all setting up sweet
utopians.
Factories. Yeah. We need the Quakers to come back, have a second industrial revolution, and they invent a whole new industry based around confection. That would bring it all back.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we've put you all in the tiniest pods we can, and we're bringing back Turkish delight.
Oh, man. They were trying to get people off the booze, weren't they? By getting them onto the sugar. Didn't realise the sugar was a horror show as well.
I would say sugar is doing worse to the UK than booze.
Oh, mate, I love a bit of sugar. I love a sugar high. Sometimes I'll just, like a 5-pack of donuts that you can get for like 80 pence.
What's your favourite flavour?
Depends on my mood. I love all three. The worst for you is the ring, despite the absence of any sugary innard because of surface area to frying ratio. I love a custard, but the jam is probably my go-to.
There was a while where Tesco would do apple.
Oh, what?
And then they're gone again. They've just gone.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
I found them in the big Tesco in New Street in Birmingham City Centre. It's got a bit of emotional resonance for me, that Tesco's, because I got banned from it when I was a teenager. And vis-a-vis that banning, I got banned from all Tesco's in the country and all shops that had signed up to the nationwide Crime Stopper scheme.
Wow.
I got banned from everything that bore that logo
Bad boy.
Nationwide for an entire year.
So there's a picture of Sean Morley doing what?
GDPR means that's long gone.
Right.
But for at least a year...
What did you do?
I'm going to give it like a 1 to 2 year margin of error, but I'll say I'll be around 16.
Okay. Mini Morley.
Minimal.
But at physical.
In fact, I could work out
powerful.
exactly when this was because it was just after the Poseidon Adventure remake came out. The summer of the Poseidon Adventure remake.
The Poseidon
Do you remember Poseidon Adventure remake? I mean, you have no reason to. I don't think it was a particularly...
I really don't.
That's fair.
I'm a big fan. I like Poseidon.
Have you watched the original
God of the
Poseidon
Sea and
Adventure?
Horses.
Do you even know what I'm saying when I say
Is
the
it?
Poseidon Adventure?
Is there a movie of like the Odyssey or something?
You're way off track with the Odyssey. The Poseidon Adventure is about a boat that goes upside down. It's like it's a weak Titanic.
Like Das Boot?
No, it's not like Das Boot. It is a 1970s melodramatic boat catastrophe film in which a boat on the high seas goes upside down and all of the crew, in order to get out, have to go down through an inverted boat, like on the ceilings of all the rooms, while the boat floods from the top, which is now the bottom.
Like Uncharted 3.
Without knowing anything, I'm just going to say no, it's nothing like Uncharted 3. I watched it believing it was a classic, and it's shit. It's rubbish. It's really boring. It feels...
The remake or the original?
The original. It has a lot of the feelings of being a made-for-TV movie, even though it was like a proper... I mean, that's what it gets for being a 1970s British film, I guess, or they all feel a bit like that.
So to clarify, is the crime you committed in the Tesco, you attempted to turn the whole Tesco over and then escape?
Imagine that was our intent, but we had to scale it down to make it more plausible.
Right.
What could we have done that relates the Poseidon Adventure to Tesco's, but is within the realistic scope of 5 teenagers?
I think if you're 5 teenagers, you can probably smash through a few shelves, turning every object upside down.
Lower the scope slightly more.
Trolleys upside down outside?
Go back, you were warmer before. You're saying turn every product
turn down. Some products upside down within the Tesco.
Just riff around that idea. You're so close to getting it.
Rotate?
No. You were warmer with upside down.
Okay, so
because we're talking about Poseidon Adventure.
Turning what upside down? So not some products, not all the products.
You're so close. You're so in the right ballpark here. Not all products. It's similar to some products, but there was a rule we were following, and it's really it's really basic. Think about type and token, if you know that distinction.
No, I don't know. But explain your clue.
Okay, type token distinction is in the word banana.
Right.
There are 3 letters by type, but by tokens, BANANA, there are 6 letters by token. So type is like the different categories of letter. B, A, and N appear, so there's 3 letters by type. But by token, how many individual instances of the letters?
One of every type is turned over.
You've got it.
Okay, I'm sorry for listeners who got that way earlier than me.
I think it'll be fun to watch you struggle.
Yeah, I really fucked it. God, I'm an idiot.
No, it's nice to have someone it's like when you're watching the quiz show and you know the answer and they don't. That's a lot. It's like watching The Apprentice.
Yeah.
And thinking this idiot doesn't know how to run a business, forgetting that they've been set a multitude of tasks at 6 o'clock in the morning and they all hate each other.
Yeah.
No one would do well in that environment. But at home, you're like, I'd have come up with a better idea there, probably.
Gordon Ramsay's right to shout at this very stressed man.
Where's the lamb sauce? The Poseidon Adventure come out, and I don't know why. There's a pre-meme era where we took the Poseidon and decided that Poseidoning could be a verb, and for some reason it was a teenage in-joke of turning things upside down, and we wanted to just go into the city centre and riff on that idea.
Poseidoning.
So we went into what I think was We're the largest supermarket in Birmingham city centre, and we turned one of every object upside down.
Yeah, we're talking a Tesco Extra.
No, we're talking about like a 2-floor Tesco.
Whoa.
This is a big Tesco with its own like elevators.
That's got to be an extra.
Not elevators,
That's got to be an extra.
And then we were doing it thinking like, I don't know why we're doing this. This is just a waste of time. But then the security guards called us into the back office.
Shit.
And we were thinking, hang on, this isn't an anything-able offence.
What do you mean you got called on the tannoy?
I don't remember. They must have been able to round us all up, and then all of us were brought into the back room. I don't think there was like an announcement. So if there was an announcement, I think I would have bolted.
Yeah.
Someone must have just come and got us. Like, I was keen enough as a teenager with the lifestyle I led that bolting was in my repertoire. And now I'll just run.
Yeah.
And so we were given this lecture, and it was very strange that they were going so hard on us for this because it felt like such a benign crime. One of every product had been turned upside down.
Slippery slope.
Nothing fragile, nothing that could have broken or smashed, just things that you'd be like, oh, that one's upside down. Oh, one of everything's upside down. I think all of us thought it would be funny for any shopper to realise that one of every product's upside down and wonder privately to themselves why that had happened. But they could see us on the cameras and they're like, we'll just stop them doing that. But the spiel they were giving us, like the security guard, I remember this because it made me laugh so much that it's been scratched into my mind. He said, do you think people come into this shop to see upside down products? Yeah. And this isn't a joke. I don't know if he was like trying to amuse himself with this, but he played this all completely straight.
Right.
He said the other day, he wanted to show us that he wasn't scared of us. I don't know why, because he was an adult. We were like children. We were scared of him. We were scared. He said the other day he had the triads in there. The triads. Yeah,
Triads
the Chinese
are
mafia.
The Chinese mafia,
Yeah. And we were sort of close to Chinatown. But I mean, he didn't. Why would the security guard for Tesco's have cornered the triads?
Are the triads in Birmingham?
Yeah, they are.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
the triads do operate. We've got an established Chinatown, and in fact, there was an actual case that was discovered of family beefs being arbitrated through, I think, the triad. This is what I've been told, but it's like very hearsay, of planting dog meat in each other's bins and then calling the food agency. And then the food agency going, this is evidence that you've been using illegal foodstuffs in your food.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have other evidence to believe that the triads did operate.
So he could have been telling the truth.
I mean, I'm just talking hearsay down.
Maybe
hearsay
upside
about
down
a decade ago.
Maybe upside down item is like one of the triad. It's like you turn it upside down, cut off one of your fingers, kill a dog, and chuck it in someone's
These
bin.
teenagers in hoodies are just being paid off.
Yeah,
by
step
triads.
one.
And
He's trying to do you a favour, mate. He's trying to stop you slipping down that slippy slope to triading.
So everything I've told you so far, are memories that I verifiably remember. And the next thing I'm about to say, I only doubt because it sounds so far-fetched that I just think it can't be true.
Right.
Like, I just doubt it simply because of the sheer absurdity of it.
what's
Because
the guy
we're
gonna
already
hover?
at the point where this guy's making outrageous claims angrily at teenagers because the teenagers turned items upside down in the Tesco's and then claimed he once cornered the triads. And this is the next bit of the story, he said.
He cornered the triads.
He had the triads
Multiple
in here.
triads.
He said, I had the triads in here. He might have said it in a more like macho way of saying, do you know why I didn't hear the other week? The triads.
Fucking hell.
And then he goes on to say that the triads had laser-guided flick knives. And that when they got them out in that room with him, which is just the back room where you can see the security cameras, it's not like some special ops interrogation room. It's just the back room where you can see the cams. They take out the laser-guided flick knives, and he says, do you think you're going to get out of here alive?
What the fuck?
And so...
Why are they laser? How can you laser guide a flick knife?
Yeah, because it's just a stab knife. It's just a knife for stabbing.
Even if you're going to throw it, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
There's no reason why you'd put a laser in a knife. But I remember I've got this vision of like, because at least we had two female friends with us at the time, and one of them had already gone into cry mode because
tactics.
Because it's if you can learn to cry as a teenager who breaks the rules,
Yeah, it's a good move.
You slide through. But she struggled to maintain the necessary emotional state when she heard about this flick knives. Because if you to start to cry, you need to make yourself feel the cry. And when he goes, "Do you think you're going to get out of here alive?" She's like, sort of crying. And I'm like, "Don't blow our cover. We need to be sad and like." We need to show contrition.
So it's not just one triad, it's multiple. It's at least two triads.
Well, I don't
versus
know.
him.
Someone could say the triads and they just mean some guy.
Right.
I mean, this guy could have meant a Chinese man. I don't know what he's referring to when he says the triads.
But did he say laser-guided flip knife or laser-guided flip knives? Because that could be
knives.
If it's knives, even then, if it's one guy, it's someone dual wielding or multiple wielding. He's got one on his head.
Yeah, so at the very least, we're talking about one person with a knife in each hand with lasers on.
Isn't the point of a flip knife, it's like concealed in like a comb or something?
Everything I know about flick knives I get from 12 Angry Men. Right. So the idea of a flick knife is that it's concealed, it comes out very quickly, and it's like for... the knife equivalent of a dummy punch. It comes out of nowhere and it gets you. Sucker punch, sorry.
Yeah.
That's the idea of a flick knife. It's not like a katana blade that you like take out, enter into a power stance and then start using your techniques.
Yeah, it's a little one.
Yeah. It's just a tiny little...
Do you think you're going to get out of here alive? So he's implying, and there was no more to that story. He just basically said...
The story ended completely abruptly then.
The implication then is, do you think you're going to get out of here alive, Sean? That's the subtext of what he's saying.
I think the subtext is...
This man's scared. The triads are afraid of this man.
Completely in control of the situation. Yeah. If I could deal with this triads thing, do you think I'm in any way flummoxed by 5 teenagers doing a Poseidon Adventure remake meme on our shelves?
Poseidon in his shop.
Yeah, that's what we did. Said, do you want to go to Poseidon, Tesco's? And then they gave me this. They said they're not going to call the police. And part of me was going, who's not going to fucking call the police? You bring the police here and you explain to them what we've done. They will get annoyed at you. This is not a police scenario. And then they gave us all this Crime Stoppers thing and they put us on a database and took our pictures. And I thought, this could be really inconvenient, but, I'll put this on the wall for the time being. And then I just went in there the next week and no one noticed me. And that's when I found the... I think that might be when I found the apple donuts.
Amazing.
Yeah, which is why it's a relevant story.
Well, and also, talking of Poseidoning,
very
simple solution to the housing crisis is huge ships, repurposed cruise ships. Yeah. They're so much more efficient. You can put them on the water. They've already built loads of them. Yeah. Put them on the water. People are already living in shipping containers.
Just ship them out.
Modify them, put them on a ship. And then you where you live can move around. And you're using one boiler, presumably, for the whole ship. Big problem with British housing. Everyone's got one boiler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Communal cleaning stuff. We don't need one lawnmower for every house. We need a couple of lawnmowers for the street. Well, you don't need a lawnmower on a cruise ship. Sorry, that was a terrible example. Vacuum cleaner. Well, you could have a lawn on the top of a cruise ship. You could have like an allotment.
I mean, you could go outside and suck the top layer of foam off the sea.
Yeah, you could do that. I don't know why you would. And then
it would replace itself instantly.
I think you could have allotments on the top of a big cruise liner.
Yeah, perhaps. I think
more of a sense of a community on a cruise liner than the luxury flats you were talking about.
When I was watching...
nationalise cruise liners and make them communities.
All of the solutions always start with nationalise and then something that no one's thought about nationalising before. Nationalise the cruise ship industry.
Right.
Everything you're talking about feels like it's the prequel to Waterworld. You're only watching the Waterworld and you go, how did we get into this society? Well... nationalise all the cruise ships and send out everyone living in a shipping container into the sea. I feel that's a big step towards Waterworld.
Ships, mate. We could live on ships.
I mean, we could live on ships. Historically, people have lived on ships.
Yeah, man.
Whether that's the solution to all our problems right now.
Pirate utopia.
Yeah, okay. Not like a technological pirate utopia, but a proper swashbuckling scimitar.
We don't have to swashbuckle.
I wouldn't like to swashbuckle. I mean, if we're all pirates, we're just living in the Wild West then, but on the sea.
You are putting yourself at risk of being Poseidoned if you're living on a boat. Like, you can't Poseidon an atelier, a council house, or luxury flats.
I'd say the best thing to say towards a house, and probably the main reason we live in one, is that no one as a prank will invert it.
What we need to Poseidon is the system.
Imagine waking up, your house is upside down and like someone's filming it for YouTube. Like it's you being punked.
Shh, look, This guy doesn't know we've beside his house. Look, he's going to wake up. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, fucking hell.
Except the pilot gets decommissioned straight away, because if you do spin someone's house around when they're in it, they will die due to furniture falling on them. It is 100% fatality rate. Imagine you were in this room, we span it around, and that meant that all the wardrobes and all the anything not tied down, that will just tip. Everything will go into one corner and fall onto you. You will die.
If I was in, because my bed touches the three walls, it would just immediately flatten me. like the rat trap that Jill gets in Resident Evil 1.
Yeah.
Just bang.
You'd be like in an elevator that suddenly stops. You'd be in bed and the bed would just push you into the ceiling.
Mandatory Redistribution Party was created and produced by Sean Morley and Jack Evans. Our title theme was created by Ella Jean. If you enjoy Mandatory Redistribution Party, why not subscribe, write us a nice review, or recommend us to a loved one? Oh, thanks. If this episode has radicalised you towards pranks or similar hijinks, please do so responsibly, and don't mention me or Sean to any really hard security guards and or cops. Cheers.